Incredible, the title being A Hellhound from Hell on Highway 49 in a burnt-out motel.
And I see 12 white horses here walking the line, moving east across that river bridge on Highway 49. I'm standing in the shadows of a burned out motel. The king of comers sees a silhouette with his hound from hell. Stranger and the cross run bleed out, serious face before.
The rock group Led Zeppelin came crashing down after the sudden and unexpected death of their drummer, John Bonham. Zeppelin, who sang about having hellhounds on their trail, met with many bizarre tragedies before their ultimate demise. In 1975, both Robert Plant and his former wife, Maureen, were severely injured in an almost fatal car accident in the island of Rhodes. Rock journalist Gary Herman, in his book Rock and Roll Babylon, noted the strange course of events that had come to be known as the Zeppelin Curse, picking it up in 1976. He stated, quote, "It is certainly true that Led Zeppelin as a group have had a peculiarly tragic record of untimely death and severe accidents associated with themselves and their entourage. In 1976, Zepp associate Keith Harwood died in mysterious circumstances. Keith Ralph, formerly of the Yardbirds, which formed the nucleus of Zepp, committed suicide, and the wife of Zepp's road manager, Richard Cole, also died. In 1977, Robert Plant's 5-year-old son, Carrick, died of a virus infection while the group was touring in America." He states that Philip Hale, a photographer, friend of Jimmy Page's, died at one of Page's homes after ingesting too much morphine, cocaine, and alcohol. And in 1980, at another of Page's houses, John Bonham met with his untimely end. Bonham, Led Zeppelin's drummer, like Jimi Hendrix and Bon Scott of AC/DC before him, choked to death on his own vomit. According to coroner's reports, he had consumed the equivalency of 40 measures of vodka. Many of the tragedies that had befallen Led Zeppelin were in fact self-inflicted. After doctors referred to the infection that took Robert Plant's son Carrick as being strange and very rare, Robert Plant later said, quote, "Why do these terrible things keep happening? What the blank is going on?" One disc jockey from Detroit believed that all these tragedies were a no-brainer and provided Plant with what he believed to be the obvious answer. He stated, quote, "If Jimmy Page would just lay off all that mystical, occult stuff and stop unleashing all those evil forces." Jimmy Page sought to evade what was becoming known more and more as the Led Zeppelin curse by saying, quote, "A lot of negative things have occurred recently, but tragedies happen." The London Evening News ran a headline declaring Zeppelin's black magic mystery. The article reported, quote, "An unnamed source close to the group commented, quote, 'It sounds crazy, but Robert Plant and everyone around the band is convinced that Jimmy's dabbling in black magic is responsible in some way to Bonzo's death and for all those other tragedies. I think the 3 remaining members of Zeppelin are now a little afraid of what's going to happen next.'" Jimmy Page would develop more and more phobias. After already fearing flying, he would develop such phobias as vertigo and claustrophobia. Page said that he thought he was, quote, "reaping my karma, now heavily," end quote. Robert Plant said, "All this success and fame, what's it worth? It doesn't mean very much when you compare it to love of a family." Sadly, the millions and millions of people that are following bands like Led Zeppelin are themselves being led by the same demonic spirit to destruction. In Led Zeppelin's song Celebration Day, they state, quote, "And her voice is sore from shouting, cheering winners who are losing, and she worries if their days are few and soon they'll have to go." They state, "You hear her cries of mercy as the winners toll the bell. There is a train that leaves the station heading for your destination, but the price you pay to nowhere has increased $1 more. And if you walk, you're going to get there, though it takes a little longer. And when you see it in the distance, you will wring your hands and moan." Robert Johnson seems to have lived in great fear that Satan would come and finally collect his soul. This thought was communicated in songs like Hellhound on My Trail. Robert Johnson's love for Satan and hatred for God was so great that he was known to get drunk and curse and blaspheme God.
It seems Robert could outdrink anybody. He'd get drunk, start cursing God.
The hellhound that Johnson so feared would finally catch up with him at the early age of 27 to take his soul. Johnson seems to have gone insane just prior to his death, having fallen to the ground, barking and howling like a dog.
And they said he was crawling around, so they told me he said crawl around like a dog, so he was just howling, you know.
Said he crawled on his hands and knees and barked and howled like a dog before he died.
His fame killed him.
Robert Johnson, the father of rock and roll's death, epitomized the paradigm that would be found throughout rock and roll history with sorcery and an early death syndrome. Heavy metal's most popular group, Metallica, and a copy of Motorhead's Prince make it clear as just to whom they have given their souls.
from below. Take my dreams. I want to know an hour. Blow up the steam. I was to know my soul to be reborn. I was so primitive. No one open a door. This face, this smile, time to die. Oh, no, no. I was born a fool. Don't wanna stay that way. Devil take my soul, but time to repay. I don't care for heaven, so don't do the for me right here. And I will burn in hell from the day I die.
Kurt Cobain, who was the front man of Nirvana before committing suicide, was Rolling Stone's Artist for the Decade in the 1990s. Kurt Cobain desecrated churches by scrawling graffiti like "God is gay" on the walls. Just before Cobain made it big, he admitted his aspirations in declaring, quote, "I will get stoned and worship Satan." Brian Warner, who became Marilyn Manson, described himself as a weakling, a worm who craved acceptance by his peers. How would he get those who bullied him to eventually worship him? Manson stated, quote, "As a teenager, I was very interested in selling my soul." Manson witnessed a friend's brother take a knife to his body and gather blood from the self-inflicted wounds. He then witnessed him use this same blood as an offering to Satan for power. Manson recognized that he could invoke Satan's power and enjoy the fame that he so craved among his peers. Manson stated, quote, "I could use black magic to turn the lowly lot life had given me around, to attain a position of power that other people would envy and accomplish things that other people couldn't." Sadly, after Manson spends his first minute in the torments of the fires of hell, he will realize that he made a terrible mistake and that it will be too late to repent. Liam Gallagher admits that he is possessed by a spirit. He has been deceived into thinking that the spirit is John Lennon. Noel Gallagher of Oasis says, quote, "If the devil popped up now and said, it's a choice, music or relationships, be it mother, girlfriend, even Liam, I'd sign on the dotted line." The Grateful Dead, who were first called the Warlocks before they changed their name, make it quite clear as to whose puppets they are. In the song Friend of the Devil, the Dead sing about borrowing from Satan and, quote, "A friend of the devil is a friend of mine," and they talk about being trailed by 20 hounds. In their song Hell in a Bucket, they declare, quote, "I may be going to hell, but at least I'm enjoying the ride."
What's the purpose of the band?
To create the most evilest music and to gain entrance into the seven gates of hell.
So a concert is an act of worship for you?
Exactly. It's a focal point to express my Satanism.
Do you believe in demonic possession?
Of course.
Are you possessed?
Of course.
Benton sees himself as a satanic evangelist whose goal it is to lead others to hell. He said, "I collect souls. That's what I do. If I can collect one soul, if I can convert one person to accepting evil as part of their lives," he says, "then he'd be happy." AC/DC's song Hell's Bells is Satan's quest to get the masses to join him in the eternal fires of hell.